Good evening, ladles and jelly spoons. Welcome to another Final Fantasy Randomizer Stage 8 Flags race. I am Sforzando. I am joined here in the commentary booth by Nitz. Nitz, how are you doing this evening?
Doing all right. Looking forward to a little Stage 8 action. This is it. This is the final fortnight of the inaugural season of the Final Fantasy Randomizer League. There's still a lot at stake. We've got Minochi on stream, who with a win tonight can immortalize himself, tied for first through the regular season. So lots to look forward to. What's on your agenda? What are you looking out for first?
Well, the most interesting thing about this flag set is the necessity to find and cash in the tail. Other than a standard run to Chaos, that is actually one of the only rules that are required in this particular stage. Now, there are 224 possible chests the tail could spawn in, so we have definitely seen some pretty trolly ones already. I'm definitely looking forward to a tail in a really out-of-the-way place tonight.
And like you said, not a lot of rules. You can bring whatever party you want with you as long as you get them promoted. So I see a lot of fighters, and everyone's got a thief too, which I find particularly interesting. And then, of course, you got your hats. So Maya's got black and white mage. Bismarck has red and white. Minochi has 2 reds, and so does Salty. So we've got a little bit of discrepancy with the parties. Which one, what do you like the most of the 3 choices we've got here?
Well, I definitely think Salty Fry has been pursuing this double red mage build pretty aggressively lately. This is at least the second match that he has done the double red mage build. Minochi's going kind of in the same direction. What you could expect from both those guys is at some point that thief is probably going to take a dirt nap. Bismarck's party represents something I would probably be in more line to bring with a dead thief, but a red mage and a white mage. A little more defense, a little more safety. And then, of course, Maya's bringing a white and a black, opting not to take the risk of bringing a red mage for fear that some of the spells that might be locked behind certain barriers.
Yeah, I do like the white-black because then you'll never miss out on everything, right? The old fear of missing out, you can just forget about it because no matter what, you're going to get charges of something. Level 1 black magic has Saber and Fast being the most exciting thing there, I guess. Level 1 white magic, you've got Harm 3 and Harm 2 if you like to live dangerously. Cure and Fog, not too big a deal.
That Harm 3, Harm 2 are in white mage spots, though, unfortunately. So Fog and Cure are going to be the level 1 white mage spells for the red mage casting. You can pick up that Harm 3 after you cash in your tail.
Then we got $5,000 houses. Not going to make anybody too happy.
Oh, ouch.
Right off the bat, Bismarck not wasting any time, heading straight to the Temple of Fiends. Minochi's already there. He's got the Opal Helmet to start with. Probably vendor trash.
I think that depends on some of the parties that you run, because you never know what you're going to be able to find, especially if you've brought a fighter with you. Maybe you hang on to a couple of things, or maybe you're Minochi and you dump it for heal potions. I don't know.
I don't know. And we got a power bonk right off the bat, so that's one of those items that everybody's always looking for by end game, and there it is right at the beginning. So one less thing to worry about. Bismarck moves his thief up into the prime slot to ward off chances of being ambushed. It at level 1 gives you about a 3-ish% better chance, from about 12% down to 9% of being ambushed by normal circumstances.
Either that or he's just looking to kill that thief off as fast as possible.
Yeah, side effect, eh? Just get him killed. If you're just going to Dan the character right off the bat, does it really matter that it's a thief, or is that just tradition?
I think that's actually a debatable point, because I kept a thief dead for most of the race, but brought him back sometime around either the start of Temple of Fiends or during Mirage Sky, and he gained a few levels in the process, and that gives you run rate in Temple of Fiends and whatnot. So your thief can be useful if you want to feed him some levels towards the end of the game.
Unfortunately, wolf pack in Temple of Fiends that's not going to let him escape, so he already takes an early wipe here and gets set back a bit. Bismarck looks like he's staring down the barrel of the gun at the same wolves that Maya just faced, but he's got more HP and more chances to run yet. So without any AoE that can target, you know, not undead, we've got a bit of a snag in this early Temple of Fiends. Some pretty nasty encounters so far.
Yeah, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot of our runners, all of our runners, head for Temple of Fiends as opposed to hedging their bets and trying to take a gamble at what level 2 spells might have to offer. You only have to get level 2 to get a charge of level 2, but that can prove difficult depending on what you end up having to encounter down there. So many of our runners are probably looking for either a copiously large amount of gold or perhaps a castable item, something that'll help them get over the pirates a little bit.
And speaking of copious gold, Salty's got about 3,000 bucks left in the war chest, and that's after buying some silver bracelets for everyone, which were affordably priced.
Yeah, silver bracelets are a solid pickup this game, especially for a mage-heavy party. Oh, and that Garland has Squint, so that's kind of a neat little thing there.
That's bad news. And Scorch.
When there's the TNT and Matoyas. Oh, haha, a little spoiler. I'm watching 2 runners off stream. I'll check that spoiler just a little.
The TNT is nowhere to be seen. I heard nothing.
We've not seen it.
Meanwhile, what we have seen is both Bismarck and Minochi take down Garland with completely different strategies. Bismarck amping up a fighter and beating him down with his bare hands. Minochi going for the more conventional swords and sandals, chopping him down. All right. And they receive their bridge and loot.
4,972 gold for that house. That is very bad real estate market.
Yeah, that is nasty prices. It's hard to bring yourself to spend that kind of dough this early in the game, but if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. Much more pleasant are the $950 silver bracelets and the $300 iron armor, which I think all the parties leaving Corneria will probably outfit themselves with. And cabins, and cabins being only $32. It's pretty harsh that houses cost about 150 times more than that. But you know, maybe it's a really nice house.
Oh, and look at that! The TNT is in Matoya's cave.
Wow, that's a shocker. And be a bit of a sparker too. So that means we're not necessarily going to have. I mean, we don't know for sure yet. The tail could be down there, of course. But for now, at least, it looks like we'll be able to skip it. So, is that what you would do? Find the more dense chests further along?
I probably would. But definitely, I want to see how the rest of these spells kind of shake out. Because you don't want to necessarily leave out of this area, you know, kind of empty-handed. I mean, unless you can get over to be able to kill the Pedes in Crescent Lake, it's going to be kind of difficult for you to just be able to leave without seeing some spells. Looks like we got Zap is currently our best black magic spell.
Nothing special, but it'll get the job done against the pirates. On the other side, on the white magic side, we had Invis 2 and Wall, which are both pretty good and both learnable by everybody because they're level 2.
Yeah, so provided the pirates are not trolly here, Zap should get the job done. If not in 1 round, then perhaps 2.
Yeah, with Minochi having 2 casters that can bust it out, it should be pretty straightforward. Zap doesn't have the highest means, but pirates don't exactly have much magic defense either. And sure enough, 2 casts and Minochi is clear of the pirates.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how our runners navigate the next few minutes of the game with Zap being your best AoE spell, 5 on yours and I believe 6 on your red mage just to be able to cast level 3 magic. And we haven't seen what's there yet. It could be, there's probably a small percentage chance that it could come up very light on the AoE spell.
Or we could have Pura Nuke waiting for us at level 3. So that remains to be seen as we set sail for Elfland. At least that's what I suspect Minochi's going to do. I find that the more I try to predict, the more mistakes I inevitably make. So let's wait and see. Aha! He's headed to the Peninsula of Power.
Yeah, so we're going to see how Minochi does this. Fire would be his best damaging spell currently, and then with Zap, he might try to take out some Giants or some Frost Wolves, something that's not the Zombles.
Yeah, with the 2 red mages, like you said earlier, he's going to be missing the Harm 3 he would love to have.
But 2 casts of Zap could very well be get the job done with these Giants.
Yep, it's a time elemental instant death, and that means that nothing resists it except Chaos himself. So you've got a pretty good shot at killing anything that has a lower magic defense. And at this point in the game, most of the enemies do.
Well, it looks like Minochi's definitely found some success in the Giants. He's opted to move on at 5. He just needs 1 more level to be able to cast level 3 magic, but I think he's satisfied with that.
Yeah, it looks like a little opportunistic grind to save and get more charges.
I will certainly agree with Artea in chat about not just getting those spells, but getting the charges for them. But certainly, if Nuke or Fade are at 3 or whatever, will certainly help you along the way before you get to those dungeons. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting to that point.
Yeah, and whatever point it's going to be, he's happy where he is now. And he finds
here's a little update from other runners. Remember, we're following 2 other runners off stream. Garland had Toxic.
Well, that's pretty. Bismarck, who took 6 or 7 rounds worth of power bonking before he finally attacked him. So, miracle that he didn't find that out. Alright, Maya now heading over to Provoca. Minochi looks like he's gonna head to Dwarves first. He loot a couple of chests he can get there.
Question in chat from someone else with a double underscore there, Nits. What are the flags for this race? So a quick breakdown. In terms of the regular items are shuffled just as 1.6.5. All of the items are shuffled. Ice Cave devised in this, and then enemy percentages are 220 up to 220%, and prices are up to 400%. And then everybody has to find the tail and turn it in order to complete the objective after beating K.
Yeah, and early bridge was off, so you did have to kill Garland to get your hands on that. But otherwise, pretty straightforward stuff. Had some interesting gear here in the Dwarf Cave. We got the Opal Armor, which is worth a fat stack of GP if you're willing to part with it. It does have the highest absorb of any armor, but of course it's only night equipable. So we know we need to get promoted, so of course it's going to be useful to you at some point. But do you want the money now?
I think it's going to benefit a lot of our runners. Plus there are, I believe, 2 Opal helmets in the game.
Oh, this was the Opal body armor, though.
Oh, ooh, that I did miss.
Looks like Minochi's heading straight to the armor shop, and he's going to take the $4,000. I thought it might be worth more, but as it turned out, not to be that much. And while it is the best body armor in terms of absorb, of course you got your dragon armor, which also tosses in fire and ice resist. If you find that, then the opal armor would never be useful. And
oh, we got exit in a red mage lock spot, but not red wizard. We got heal 3 in a red mage, red wizard locked spot.
Well, it looks like the black and white mages were the right call. Well, at least the white mage on the white magic side. We haven't seen any nuke yet either. Oh, there it is. There it is. No sooner do I open my mouth, all of a sudden those red hats are going to be burning it up. So it's low enough level that charges should be fairly plentiful, so that'll make people happy. Especially anyone who's bringing the red mage.
Yeah, definitely. Because red mage... I mean, it takes a little longer to unlock those, but you'll get more of those charges as you progress in level.
And we for the red mages too, but no harm for. This nuke is strictly. Alright, we've got some grinds going on. Salty and Bismarck running into some problems on the open sea. The hag's proven to be more than an inconvenience, but here comes the zap. And Maya's popped out to the Peninsula of Power. With the 2.2 experience modifier, which is, we saw in the tournament, if someone hasn't maybe tuned in to FFR, is the amount of time you have to spend grinding, but as a result, also the brought tonight, because you have to do so much more leveling to really get the offensive might out of your black belt. It's a cheaper investment with fighter and good gear. So, do you think you're going to see a lot of divergence in grinding spots? Everyone has been, the Peninsula Power play has been popular with two of the runners so far, but is it going to diverge from there, or are we going to see similar routes for all of them?
I think routes are not going to come down to experience. Once you get your charges of nuke, you kind of just drop your nukes as you go, especially for many of those who are killing their thief auxiliary fourth member. One of the ways to mitigate that low 2.2x% is certainly to kill a party member, allowing the rest of his experience to divide evenly among the remaining party members. So there's not a whole lot of need for grinding if you go through your dungeons right, use your charges right. I think the big downside here is going to be the cost of houses. So hopefully our runners find a few houses along the way. Because right now money's not bountiful, certainly not 5,000 gold a house bountiful.
And not 37,000 gold a gold bracelet bountiful either. That hurts when you're staring at 40 bucks in the pocket. Fade there at level 6. It's a bit high for red mage country, probably not going to see that. And Warp is also level 6 in the black magic side.
What slots was in? I looked away at the off-stream runner.
Fade was in the top slot, I believe. Warp in the second.
That is locked for both Red Mage and Red Wizard. White on the white magic side, Red Wizards can use slots 2, 3, and 4, while on the black magic side, Red Wizard gets access to the top slot.
Well, that is some bad luck. Looks like our two Red Mage, Red Wizard parties are going to be doing a lot of walking. And speaking of walking, Salty's going to go for a casual stroll outside of Crescent Lake and do a little bit of grinding here. Speed country sometimes. The EXPs, we like to call them, are a fat trove of experience relative to how hard they are. A very popular grinding spot. But instead, he finds a good old-fashioned giant.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, once those red mages hit 7, there will be 4 charges of nuke between them. I mean, from that point, you could just nuke things, on the way if you happen to, like I said, find a house or two. Because, like I said, the price of houses being high is going to hurt a little bit. It's not going to be ultimately detrimental, but early on here, especially as we're struggling a little bit for money, how far may they grind? It looks like Minochi's just going to go ahead. I'm hoping he finds a house there or something to be able to
procure his resources on site, like he does, you know? Drop in with nothing and just find the house.
Or a cardboard box.
The cardboard box. Magic. Well, so far all he's got is a heal. Looks like he's control next. Yeah. Finally equips those silver bracelets he bought a little while ago. He knew something wasn't working, right? So with the expensive houses, obviously that favors grinding near an inn. There's hardly a town with an inn closer to the entrance than Crescent Lake. There's the Four Peats, so this is exactly the kind of encounter Salty wants to see a lot of.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if it were for me, and certainly I'm not one of the potential league champions, but if it were me, I probably would have stayed outside of Crescent Lake until I'd gotten 8 or 9. Maybe had 6 solid charges of 6 solid charges between the 2 red mages, which I believe is either 9 or 10.
I think that Minochi is say ha 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 to come to the volcano this early, but he has picked up some stuff he can probably cash in. Doubt I'm going to see him hang on to that katana.
Yeah, definitely. The katana is hopefully going to be worth something. Maybe it's worth a house.
Maybe it's worth the gold bracelet.
Oh, I doubt that.
I guess I wasn't speaking literally, but it might get him the rest of the way there. No, the gold bracelets are pricey.
I think it's going to be a debatable point, but I would think that if Salty's grinding comes out to be fruitful, perhaps you have money for one house. He may barely be scratching the surface on one house. It'll leave him with about 1,000 gold in his pocket.
Oh yeah, question from the chat, just like to clarify this. Artea is helping us out here, but we call it the Pop Grind or the Peninsula of Power. It's 4 tiles northeast of Provoca that you'll see people walk around in little circles on that actually pick up the random encounters from the continent to the north, which is where Lefane is, and there are some, massively overpowered enemies there relative to the beginning of the game. Zombies, and you'll find giants and some other things, and grinding them, if you can, early, will really give you a cash and EXP boost in particular relative to anywhere else on the Inner Sea, really.
Oh, I think Minochi's struggling here. I think he was trying to... And the Sphinx has killed the fighter, and then knocked out pretty darn hard there.
Yeah, Minochi's back in. One of the nice things about the volcano is how you can duck out and duck back in after the first 2 floors. There's so many, those volcanic tiles that don't trigger encounters, and it really lets you dive in, grab some chests, get out without wasting your time running into too many random encounters and then repeating that formula. So that's what Minochi's up to. Now he's testing the fires for EXP.
Yeah, so we definitely have a route divergence here. Maya has decided to go into the Earth Cave. Earth Cave is definitely not a bad play. You've got 16 chests you can check up to the Vampire. Which is about, about half or so of the chests you can check in the volcano, but it rewards you as an almost slightly more appropriate level monsters if you need some levels and want to take a small gamble. Well, it's not even too terribly risky unless there's something ridiculous in here. The nukes will help you take care of the Earths that guard 4 of the treasure chests here as well. And if he has a white mage, which I believe took a white and a black, he should have exit, which is also going to benefit him. And it looks like he's just checking the top floor and he's moving.
Yeah, you're right, and you especially pointed out if he's got a charge of exit, the second floor is so tempting because you only have to fight one of the earths, one in that room, and then exit out of there. So, I would have liked to see him maybe do one more floor. I'm no authority by any means, but if you're gonna go there, it feels like a wasted opportunity not to at least check one more floor.
I think it partially is going to depend on how long your encounters are. If you've got a long run off of a power cycle, that would be a determining factor. Long run off a power cycle and a potential exit spell, having exit in that slot, those will probably be the things that help me decide whether I do floor 2 or not.
Looks like Nochi resets out of the second floor. He took a critical... somebody took out his fighter. He's got, of course, his fighter back so to go to Crescent Lake or reset out, so he chooses the latter.
Playing a little bit of a dangerous game here as he's level 6 down into the bottom floor of Volcano.
Does he have a carry, or is he just in it for the chests?
I mean, it really is going to depend on what's down there. He's got fast and, if he has them, 4 charges a nuke at this point, so it's certainly a plausible scenario. If Agamas are easy, he might be able to grab a couple levels there, but it's really going to depend, hopefully, on finding a solid weapon down.
Well, he's got some Zeus gauntlets, so all of a sudden he's got a nice healthy supply of Lit 2, should he choose to use it. He finally puts those silver bracelets back on. What happens when you die, of course, is that you reload your save file, and if you saved it without the bracelets on, you forget about it, so he's got that back going again. I think the problem here for his grind and his potential is that he does not have very many heal potions, so he's not going to be able to get too many levels.
Yeah, that's a huge downside to the volcano itself, is that it's kind of taxing on your hit point resources. And so not really having access to that heal 3 and kind of being a little stunted money-wise. If he fails to come out with the carry kill in this, the only thing that might be feasible is if he manages to just reset out, knowing the volcano has nothing, and then moves on to a dungeon, say like Castle Ordeals or otherwise.
Some shopping at Crescent Lake, and he too is gonna grind out front of the gates there. I like this place because it's like one of the safest, fastest grind spots in the world if you can get the encounters you want. Inside the door. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. As it looks like Salty's gonna go ahead and check Castle Ordeals for us. Salty is checking this. It is one of the 2 incentivized optional dungeons in this, in which he will find one of potentially 8 key items, 3 of them being progression items in the ruby slab, the floater slab or crown, or one of nice-ish items, the ruby mass immune adamant, a ribbon, or the tail, which is definitely a coveted item in this, which... Let's go ahead and move the tail over to the go mode side, if you will, because it is required by our rule set.
Yeah, just finding any other plot item. It's not as good early, you can't... So, I mean, you'd probably rather find the floater first, but one way or the other. And he's got 6 charges of nuke, which you said you get to. Not rolling very well on that first cast, though, so he's going to go through at least another charge here. Looks like Minochi's going to walk it out of Volcano. He's not got a lot of HP to walk with.
He is also out of heal potions as well, and so he is definitely going to make this... He's going to give this attempt all his go. I did not see if he came out with anything notable, but he apparently thinks he has. Either that or he's desperately trying to come out with these levels.
With all these volcano tiles now, he's definitely going to be down to 3 guys with 1 HP each. I don't know how many more charges he's got a nuke, but He's back to zap. Well, that one damage was enough to take out his fighter.
Oh, and there
it's
goes
over.
this part.
So, and again, he goes back in, so he must have found something. I too missed it, but chat might have our back.
Yeah, Minochi is definitely fixated on whatever is down here, or maybe he's just going to check armory chests and work something to get out. I'm honestly not sure at this point. Unfortunately, all he has now is the knowledge of what most of the chests in the volcano are, but he doesn't have many of the levels to potentially show for it.
There was a
ribbon in the armory. Ribbon and adamant in the armory. All right.
Yeah, I saw the adamant the first time, forgot all about it. I definitely did not notice the ribbon either time, so that's definitely worth going back for. We know we have to get promoted, so the adamant is something we can definitely make use of eventually. Before then, well, that's one story, but if you don't...
Yeah, I think at this point, with the new charges he does possess, it might be good for him to just go ahead and get out of there and head over to Castle Orioles. We'll find out in a moment if that's a very worthwhile prospect as Salty Fry keeps trying to get through here and show us what the incentivized item is.
Once again, though, he's running into a bit of trouble.
Yeah, Salty, these mummies have Stone Touch, and he's just going to go ahead and bail on that.
And he's way out of this one. And with some good rolls, he is able to do it. So now it's a real hero run to try to get out with the loot and back to Crescent Lake. If he was going to reset, he probably would have by now. So
yeah, he definitely wants to come out with that. I think he wants to come out with that ribbon, definitely.
And all the other vendor trash, he picked up a katana. There's some good money in it.
Ooh, Minochi hitting a little pocket of luck with this high ambush bull and scorpions fight. Manages to get not only the regular encounter without being ambushed, but also getting first attack off.
And Salty's party was nearly turned to stone. For that surprised.
Boy, it's getting to be pretty ordeal. And that's just the mummies. We know the zombies are just a little beef point scale. Not the Nuke can't take care of, clearly.
Ooh, not when Nuke rolls a crit each time, or a double, however you want to score it. It takes care of the zombies. All of the damaging black magic in this game uses a similar formula, where it has a base damage, and for Nuke it's 100, so it generates a random number between 100. And that's the same for every black magic damage dealing spell. It starts with one number and randomly generates a number between that number and double. And then, if it scores a hit, which depends on its element and the enemy's elemental resistance and the enemy's magic defense and so forth, it is doubled yet again. So Nuke can do anywhere between 100 and 400, which makes it by far the most powerful black magic spell.
And while you were waxing philosophical, those scorpions had Nuke. And so let's be glad none of our runners have stepped into Marsh Cave, where those scorpions are a little more prevalent.
That would be ugly. I hope nobody has to do that. As Beef Curry asks, you can't be weak to Nuke because it's non-elemental, but that is almost a bad thing because that means you definitely can't resist it either.
Yeah. And I don't know, I guess I gotta either applaud or lament Minochi's fixation with walking out the items that are found in the armory, because he has this steely-eyed devotion to pulling out these two items that, unfortunately, only one of them is really going to help him right now, and even then, it's not going to make or break his run, so, I don't know what he's going through. Maybe he's just stubborn and he feels like he has to get it out of there, because at this point, I mean, he's got to feel like the clock's ticking on.
Yeah, it's got to be a bit frustrating being that point and wipes so many times, just trying to get out from the second floor, which I had earlier commentator cursed him by saying is just an easy, sorry, Minochi. Meanwhile, Salty's found nothing super exciting in Ordeal so far, some small gold. And they'll back half.
Yeah, I think I like Salty's play better. Just, I mean, in this bird's eye, oh, and it's the Ruby. So here's an interesting question: is our floater Ruby locked?
Well, it would be pretty spectacular if it was. Are you even a little get the rod and try and complete Earth? No,
I don't think so. I don't think so, because you have you're coming out of Castle Ordeals with a fairly strong party. I would go ahead and make a beeline for Ice.
Do the other incentive.
Yeah, do the other incentive. This is what I would do if I had not been. And I feel like I'd have a strong enough party to go ahead and make a beeline for Ice and see what that other incentivized chest is. Because you found a Ruby, which means odds are pretty good. Incentivized item is a progression item that you need. So it's like it's like a Monty Hall problem. If you open a door and you find out it's a goat, and you've got another door to choose from, because odds are pretty good it's going to contain the car.
Yeah, car's got to be somewhere, right? You didn't find it behind door number 1, so you gotta switch it up. It was more likely when you first checked that it was going to be somewhere else, and that likelihood is still true, even though you've revealed some information.
Yeah, and I always love the Ordeal's first play, just because I think the monsters, with the exception of those pretty nasty mummies this game, the monsters tend to be within reason for a reasonable spell slot allotment. If you went in there with 4 nukes, as Salty did, I think at 7, or maybe he even went in there actually a little higher. He grinded P'd, so he could have had 6 charges of nuke between his red mages. That's certainly enough to clean up a Castle Ordeals and find out what its incentivized chest item is. And 12, 13, 14, I didn't see what he came out with. It looks like he's going to beeline it for Volcano, though, which does present a greater density of chests, which, of course, is a fine play. And, it's not like there's a best play to this. The only best play is the one that ends up leading to the correct answer. Yeah,
you're right. First of all, you have to kill Carrie one way or the other. So if you're thinking that you can do that, sure, nothing wrong with Volcano. But as you said before, that incentivized item could literally open doors for you, especially if it's the floater and you think you can get it. I could have seen either. If you're already going to do the, sort of the incentive style hit up, or it fits the philosophy to go to Ice next, but Volcano is probably easier, or at least it seems the enemies are tough in general.
Yeah, and as I've mentioned, and we've already burned the Ruby in one incentivized item, so realistically he's about to find out. But even barring the Adamant, there are still all your items are useful if you go there and get it. The thing you'd probably be most disappointed by is the Ruby, or perhaps the Adamant, because everything else is going to be a fairly solid pickup, and 4 of them technically are going to be progression items potentially. So you figure 4 progression items, a mass immune, a ribbon, and he doesn't know it, but it could be an Adamant. I mean, realistically, it's not going to give you the garbage you picked up in Ordeal.
And speaking of garbage in Ordeals, that's what Bismarck's going to find. Minochi, on the other hand, is headed to Ice, so he finally got out of the Volcano with what he financed his expedition to the frozen north here. So we'll see what he turns up in this subterranean death dungeon. It is ugly for a reason. It's got wizards that are... It has an awful pack of undead on its treasure floor, and force encounters below that with the ice dragons. So best of luck, Minochi.
Yeah, to go from Volcano... See, now, I like Salty Fry's position a lot better, but for Minochi to have struggled in the Volcano and then to go Ice, it's a tough call, and I think maybe he feels like he's got to make that play because perhaps no one, and of course he'd be right at this point, no one has gone to the Volcano or to the Ice Cave yet. And so maybe he's trying to find some sort of advantage after feeling like he's probably burned a lot of time in the Volcano.
Yeah, he's got his charges of nuke, so that'll get him through whichever encounters he chooses to turn them on. But there are several forced battles here, so It remains to be seen if he's got enough, and if he can take advantage perhaps of an eye grind at the end. He has no warp or exit, so he's going to have to do it all by 2 feet and a heartbeat. And it went south once. And he doesn't like those wizards either. Alright. Well, Salty's got his adamant now, and his ribbon from the treasure trove. So he's probably feeling pretty good about his routing. Got the extra levels now, so he can have a better go of this than Minochi did. Do you think it's a little bit early to bring the thief back alive? I noticed that he's got his run character standing.
If he feels like he's trying to blitz in and out, perhaps not. Because even at level 1 or 3, that thief has a significant run rate, and it's significantly greater than the rest of his party. And the fact that his rest of his party is fighter, red mage, which I think represent the 3rd and 4th worst run rates in the game, or the 4th and 5th worst run rates in the game.
Yeah, I guess that's the point. If you're going to be running away from most of the encounters, you're not really going to be stealing much experience, are you?
Well, not only that, I mean, your run rates are just very poor.
Looks like Maya's got a fighter and a black mage. He actually picked up Fire 1, and he's going to use it. That's priceless. And it might even get the job done here, which would be a spectacular finish. No, not quite.
So now we've got Bismarck picking up his ruby out of Castle Deals. So for a lot of people, like I said, I think you're going to come here, and I think you're going to get a couple of you up for on. And that's why I usually like the Ordeal's first play. And certainly I know I'm not the originator of the play, but I can certainly appreciate it when it occurs. Up Ruby coming out of there with a couple of levels is still going to be, decent.
Yeah.
And like I said, you've got the knowledge. The other incentivized chest is going to have something you need. So knowledge is power.
What I like about Ordeals is that you get a free exit with your purchase, and that's helpful if you don't have any warp or exit. As long as you get through it, you get to exit for free and keep all that experience. Right? If you die halfway through, that's another story. But at least if you get to the end, you don't have to worry about losing everything on the way out.
I think the other reason it seems like Minochi resurrected his thief is he can't use life on him, so he's probably just trying to sprinkle in little bits of experience here and there as long as he possibly can. It's the only thing I can think of.
So we know it's not in Ordeals. We know it's not in the first couple floors of Volcano. Chat, where do you think this floater's hiding?
Okay,
hand it to
where the slab is.
Spoilers, okay.
I didn't say it this time. Not like TNT and Nostradamus about that. Hey, look, it's the slab.
It's the slab.
He is literally high-fiving Quicklet right across these treasure chests, right? Minochi not even opting for the Frost Wolves chest, which statistically is not a bad play. I mean, it's not always bad to skip chests like that, just so long as you don't skip, say, 13 chests, say, in the ice cave.
Who would do such a thing?
No idea. Oh, and these red bones are given wiped Minochi again, so now we have the Gnostic slab is in there, and we still don't know what the incentivized item is.
Yeah, he's probably fuming now, so we'll see if he can get it under control and get out of here with something positive. Bit the bait on the ruby. Now let's have a look here.
But he gets a mass immune for his trouble.
That's all right. Nothing wrong with that.
Fortunately, found it in a place where anybody who finds the floater is going to find it. It's not like it's very deep in Earth B4, so everyone's going to come across the mass immune at some point throughout this game. More than likely. Unless that, for some reason, it's Minochi and he hits go mode and decides to skip Titan's Tunnel. It's a one's going to come across that mass.
Yeah, you can't count on a weapon, but at least he should be pretty that he got it before anybody. So, when that something happens, you got to try and take advantage of it.
Hey, Nitz, am I sounding super digital to you? I'm not quite sure.
You're like Will.i.am with the auto-tune cranked up, you know? But just... I don't know, I'd rather sound like auto-tuned than what I actually sound like. I wish I could go to the voice store and cash mine in for one that sounds a little better, but I got what I got.
That's what I need. I need an ad chain.
And a drum and bass line. Alright, so Bismarck's going full out on this bait. Now, of course, he could just be checking the first couple floors, something like that. But he's got the rod, so he could be going all the way to Lich's chambers.
Yeah, we know there's nothing in the top floor. Maya was up, didn't come out with anything, but Bismarck has taken the bait, so I would tell you he will probably dive the whole thing.
Well, he resets out of that first chest room, didn't find anything he cared for, didn't want to walk through that encounter on his way out. He knows he can get all the way to the next room if he just resets, that's what he does. And he's going to do it again because he doesn't care about that $1,500 either. Question from chat. What is with people not buying heal potions? I think they're largely broke. Like, there was a time I looked at Minochi's screen and he only had $40 when he was leaving Crown. I don't know. Then you grind a bit and get a bunch, right? Seems to me like it's very strange.
So we've got Salty Fry heading for carry now.
Well, everything's been coming up Salty Fry so far. So I'm sure this is just going to go perfectly swimmingly for him.
Oh, no doubt. He's got, I think, 2 nuke charges between his 2 red mages.
Little preemptive heal helmet. Yeah, straight to the nuku.
Nuke and Temper being on the same level kind of stinks a little bit, but if the job gets done, just dump the nukes over the Tempers, or, I don't know, if you're in Chaos, do the Tempers over the nukes. I don't know, something sustainable. I don't know. I never like useful spells being on the same same tier.
Hey.
Oh, wow, look, Minochi has found the floater in a non-incentivized spot. So I bet this is the crown. If this is the crown, the entirety of the normal progression, not counting the tail, is in Ice Cave. So we'll see what this is.
This is getting tight. He got 500 damage out of his first 2 nukes, but, you know, a double health carry could be closer to like 1200 HP max. So all these Invis 2s should prepare him, but his fighter's getting low on HP. This is not over, this battle here.
We've got Minochi kind of struggling a little bit with the...
Now it's over. But I'm sure he was a little nervous for a second there. Alright, so you've got the floater. You definitely don't have any exit or warp. And you have had some of the most rotten luck to ask for. Are you going to stick around and do a long eye grind, or are you just going to get the sweet heck out of here with your tail and your floater?
I would tuck my tail between my legs and run, because he struggled a little bit with that fight. Not that I think he's at any risk of death, but those fights did take a little while. I don't know, as he gets a couple of levels perhaps. But I'm worried about that step-off encounter. If he gets one, who knows what it is. We know the mummies have Stone Touch, so is he prepared to deal with that? perhaps he only gains a couple of levels here and just goes ahead and gets out of here. But that step-off encounter is what I'm worried about.
Man, he can barely scratch this eye. A hasted fighter only did like 40 damage. I would be very nervous with this precarious position.
Well, it's weird because the eye's not doing a whole lot to him, but he's not taking him down very fast, and so that's also a product of him being level 10, and so perhaps a couple of levels fills in those gaps for him.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to use his charges of magic, right? He could nuke this thing into oblivion, but I think he needs to save those to get out.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need. He's going to have that big undead pack, and then who knows how many fights between there and the end.
This is the slowest grind I have ever seen.
I think Minochi's just got to be done after this fight, because I don't think you can get anything reasonable out of this fight. And feel like you're going to come away with anything. I mean, progression-wise, right now, he's pretty well ahead, but I mean, as you can see, Salty Fry is like right on his tail and has everything Minochi doesn't have at them.
As Zangief has pointed out, the only thing he's grinding is to a halt.
Right you are, Ken.
That's probably a pretty good time to point out that Zangief is our tracker this evening. Clicking it, lighten it up. And our restreamer is Norestra, representing Randomania. Great friends of the Final Fantasy Randomizer community. It's always a pleasure for them to host us. Pleasure for us. I'm sure they're just thrilled to be putting their time in on a Friday night to put this show on. So we want to thank them. Follow these runners. Everyone loves your affection and support. They put on these shows for our watching entertainment.
I can tell you there is a whole lot of pleasure on this side of the booth right now.
Oh, we got a white shirt. Maya's going to take on the Forced Frost Wolves to raid that last chest, so we'll see what we got back here. Assuming he wins.
Also, if you like the action and you want to become a part of it, feel free to give our Discord channel a follow. We are certainly welcoming new players all the time as we are preparing and gearing up for our Final Fantasy Randomizer Spring Tournament. So if you feel like this is something you want to be a part of, regardless of what your skill level is, feel free to give our Discord a follow. Feel free to get plugged into FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. And feel free to ask questions, because we just love having new players and we want to see our community grow and thrive, and that takes the effort of our admins and all of our great people that put these things on. Much appreciated. But certainly we can't have a community without you, so feel free to come and join us.
Oh, the hero run from the Red Mage against that 6-pack of Frostwolves. He is down to one party member, no charges of nuke, gonna have to zap the wizards. Okay. Not ideal. Not ideal. Mm, 50-50. They're hitting him for about 30 a turn here. He's got his... one more goes down.
It's 50-50, right? I mean, statistically.
There it is.
Now Maya has his tail. And he is starting an eye grind. Is nipping at the heel. Nipping at the heels here, but not.
And he's
right. Knows the contents of Castle Ordeal, so that's kind of what puts him at an advantage over.
Whew. Minochi breathes a sigh of relief, and even my heart rate is returning. He finally catches a break, zaps the wizards, and gets out of there with the Red Mage alive.
Well, this unfortunately means for Bismarck that unless he finds the crown, there isn't going to be a whole lot for him in the Earth.
Seek up the devil. Good call, Sforzando. Good call. Wow, there's only about...
Tonight...
It's only about 221 places that thing could be, right? So
224, actually.
All right. 224 pre-Topher chests, are there?
Yes.
Crown can't be keylock, come to think of it. But whatever.
Oh, yeah, you're right. For the crown, it's... I'm sorry, yes. For the crown, it's 196.
Less than a chance of it being in that chest. although increased by the fact we knew it wasn't in other places. But there it is. What drama. So, Bismarck's got the crown, Minochi's got the floater in the tail, and the gold is in the unmarked grave next to Arch Stanton.
We've got an easy tail today, too, so this is a fairly straightforward race for anybody who goes to the Earth Cave, basically. So long as everybody remembers Ice Cave is a thing, which really Ice Cave is going to limit your progression outside of the Sky Castle floating fortress, whatever you want to call it. So all of our runners will have to go to the Ice Cave. They will find everything there. It's going to be a question of how many of them dive the Earth Cave.
I got a question for you, Sweat. So I know you're pretty good at this game. So you've got the adamant, you've got the tail. That means you've got the Excalibur, and you just found the Mass Moon because you raided the Titan's Trove now that you have the floater. Are you interested in Excaliburing up that knight so you can deal off the Mass Moon to somebody else? Or are you going to put the best weapon in his hands and say, forget about that Excalibur?
For trash fights, I would definitely put the Excalibur on the knight and put the Mass Moon on somebody else. But realistically, it's really only going to come into play when there's like two, like the fight. That's really only, or the Gershark Big Eye. That's really the only fights that sort of dual combo comes in handy. Because otherwise, you're AoE nuking literally everything else. So it's a matter of, how do you kind of do damage while saving your nuke charges? And it's realistically only on good experience fights that only have one or two monsters.
Bottom line, and it might come in handy to do the hand-me-down trick for a little while, but Mass Moon's going to find its way. Yeah, Mass Moon's going to find its way into the fighter's hands. Pardon me, the knight's hand.
Just remember to make that switch before the bosses, because I have a habit of not.
Maya feeds the need, hooks the Titan up with his ruby, which is a kind gesture. League wraps up in the latest version of the feature called Titan's Trove. It's just sort of a map pack that blocks off those chests unless you feed the Titan, moves him over a bit so he's in the way. And I think it's become popular, just more purpose. So this might be some of the last time we ever get to see the Titan being unnecessarily fed. In the future, it will serve a purpose.
Bismarck's in this race, and one of Bismarck's favorite things to do is give that ruby, and so good for Bismarck on being able to do whatever it is.
Not only that, but he actually did it sort of, in the vanilla order. He actually gave him the ruby without... He's really on a different route than everyone else now because he has the crown. That's almost going to be... I hope he's not tempted to complete all the crown quest, fingers crossed that the floater is key-locked. He might take a gamble like that because if it were true, it would put him on a huge path to success. But we know it's not, so it's just going to cost him a lot of time to sail around if he chooses to do that.
Yeah, I mean, because the odds of the 3 progression items being in the Ice Cave are absurdly low.
Well, Maya's got his floater in his tail, and he is going to do the classy thing and get promoted.
And by the way, I think I'm right on this. I'm going to do some more Trenton math here. The odds of 3 progression items in the Ice Cave would be 16 and 224 times 18 in 118, or... Yeah, 18 and 118, or sorry, 16 and 118 times, what was the other item? The slab? Like 16 and 160 something, I think. And so you multiply those together as the odds that 3 of the, it's not quite right, but whatever. 16 in, 15 in, and then 14 in as you're counting down chests.
It's not very likely. That's what I'm gathering. Yeah, he's not here to keep us honest. He's got some pretty strict rules about whether you can and cannot perform mathematics, arithmetic, logic under certain circumstances. I can't keep track of all of his rules, so we just do what we need to do here. Maya's rummaging through. Cardia looks like he's picked up an Aegis shield.
He's trying to pick up the Aegis shield right now.
It's a little heavy. Everyone's overburdened. I am overburdened. So I'm gonna have to chuck some stuff.
Is Salty Fry? Did Salty Fry wipe at some point? I thought I thought he'd already made his pass to the ice cave. I mean, I did say earlier, Salty was nipping at the heels. Did he take a wipe and I missed?
He did indeed, yeah.
To an ice giant, it looks like. I'm trying to read in chat, interpret in chat.
Yeah. Aegis Shield's a nice find. It's got 16 absorb, tying it for the best shield with the Opal Shield, but instead of resisting lightning, it resists poison, which is pretty great. Protects you from Bane. If you have a ribbon on your fighter, it doesn't really matter on your knight, but otherwise, it's a nice resistance to have. Now Maya's gonna step into Gaia. He's got a fairy to visit if he's found the bottle. Ah, $3,800 pro rings. That's lovely. I don't think we've seen any in chests yet, so he'll pick up at least a partial set. And Bismarck makes it down all the way to Lich. Time for the Harm 4s and the nukes. Lich goes down without too much of a fight. He got some good rolls off his nukes and took care of business.
It's going to be where does Bismarck end up? Because while he did come out with the crown, I don't know the position he's really in to beat carry at this point. We have a trolling bottle sighting in Onrak.
Lazy fairies.
Well, no, fairy. Onrak's the trolly one because you have to sail over and canoe up to Onrak and then back out and back over to Gaia.
I really meant more like lazy on the sailing sense. Who is it that tells you that they caught the fairy and bottled her up and sold her to a traveling caravan? Is that the guy in Gaia?
No,
there's
maybe.
There's an NPC somewhere that reminds you of how to look for the bottle, and I thought he was in Onrak. But what it used to be. Ah, yeah, the pink pirate. Oh, he's in Gaia. Okay, never mind then. That's what I was imagining, that he actually just said he sold it to a traveler. In fact, sold it to the item shop vendor in the same town. But that's not what happened, so forget anything I said. Not much in the level 7 white magic in Gaia. Nice 3 at level 7 for the black mage, but he's not tempted. Salty Fry doing a bit of an ice grind. He's got some, so he just obliterates the eye. That's a nice luxury. And it looks like Bismarck was tempted by the Crown Quest. I'm going to go ahead and complete that. He's got his fingers triple crossed that this is the way to get to the... For him, it's not. So he's just going to lose a little bit of time here. Alright, Minochi reaches the cube robot room. So he'll pick that up and we'll get in these chests for him too. And Maya's right behind him, in fact. And there was literally nothing but cash.
Oh, but Minochi has to walk this out. Yeah, the next best thing that Bismarck could find right now would probably be another ribbon. We know where Massa and Adamant are. We know where the white shirt is. We know that the white shirt is over by I believe, the Frost Wolves in Ice Cave. The defense swords up maybe at this point. That casts Ruse. We already know when we found the Power Gauntlet. So yeah, I mean, really the only thing that Bismarck could be left is another ribbon. Dragon armor, I suppose, would help. Because we know where the Aegis shield is now.
And we also know that he probably sold the Opal armor if he found that the first time. Salty's going to pop into the armor shop in Gaia and find some $30 to $100 pro rings. He'll outfit most of his team with those for sure. It's easy to remember because the pro ring is just simply the best hand armor in the game in terms of absorb and the fact that it resists death. The power bonk is a pretty great piece of hand armor too because it casts Saber, but it's not really so great on its defensive merits.
Yeah, but one of the things that is important is that there are only 4 armor slots.
Yeah, sometimes you got to make room. If you've got a knight with a ribbon on, you don't need the pro ring for the death. So usually that's when that's the sacrifice you'll make to get the power bonk in there if you have it.
Unfortunately, the Castle Canaria comes up as a bust for Bismarck.
Just another katana to liquidate. Looks like he's going to take this all the way and check the chests inside the Temple of Fiends. I mean, this was the strategy. You gotta follow it through. You can't give up halfway, and then if that had the floater, you gotta do it.
You would. You don't win because you either have the ridiculous immense luck, or you have to lie in the bed you make. If I were Romanoshi, I'd probably go ahead and take my shot at Floating Fortress. Mostly proximity is the reason. Since you had to come over here to turn in the ferry anyway, since the bottle was in on-rack, it's one of the rare times for me that proximity would actually dictate which dungeon I do first.
Looks like he's thinking about it.
Yeah, it's more valuable in experience than the Sea Shrine, and I believe there are less unrunnables as well.
For now. Ha ha ha. My maniacal chuckling is because another feature that is in beta that should be promoted in time for the upcoming spring tournament is the ability to shuffle which enemy encounters are unrunnable. And before you say you can't tell if an encounter is unrunnable, so shuffling it is cruel and unusual, it comes along with a convenience to replace the run word with wait. It's a fun, crazy, wacky feature that you can try out in beta because you've never seen it before, and all of a sudden it says, wait, you can't run from these chimeras. You can't run from, well, these things you used to be able to run from. So I like it. It's been positively reviewed and received, and I look forward to hopefully that showing up in the upcoming tournament.
Yeah, and if that feature doesn't kick you in the behind, there's another feature coming down the pipeline which shuffles the 1 through 8 encounters on every table. So not only will different encounters be unrunnable, but it is possible that an unrunnable encounter gets shuffled up to a common encounter spot. Say you have some I'll use unrunnable chimeras. Well, let's say unrunnable chimeras make it into the 1 slot or one of the more common slots. In any particular in that particular dungeon, and suddenly that entirely free.
And it does give a lot of opportunities to do the wait, he says. Do I look like a waiter Kefka joke that everybody likes so much? considering he has got to be the least charismatic, most beautifully villainous villain that Final Fantasy has ever seen, at least in my humble opinion, I love the fact that he has such a comic line that everybody chuckles about.
Yeah, before this race, I spent the last 4.5 hours playing the ROM hack Brave New World for Final Fantasy VI, and so, yes, I did pass the what do I look like a waiter line, but absolutely Kefka is one of my favorite villains, because Kefka actually accomplishes the objective that he sought out, which is villainous occurrence.
Yeah, like, wow, wow. You could hear that thing coming, and then like it just gave you chills when I was a little kid, man. Love that shit. Anyway, Maya's got his chime, and he is on his way back to the airship. We'll see if he makes the same play that Minochi. But first, this Tyro apparently has to die.
And it looks like he did find a Vorpal sword along the way. That is what his ninja has equipped. So, if Czar is anywhere in the chat, there's some Vorpal strats hype for you.
Alright. Salty doubling back to provoke a level 2 black magic shot. For no reason, as it turns out. He must have forgot what he came for, but they didn't have it. So you talked about less on runs in Mirage and in the Sky Castle. What are your favorite encounters? What are you looking for to get lucky here if you're a runner?
If you looking to go through, there's a couple of encounters that you want that are worth a fairly good amount of experience. You are definitely gonna want the double nacho fight that comes in the room, either on the Warmech Bridge or the room before. The sentry and the sentries, and I can't remember what the sentries come with, but they're all the same monster. That's a fairly solid fight, but sometimes they can have really high hit points. But otherwise, that's a fairly strong experience fight that you have there. The 4 vampires that Minochi is taking on right now is also a good encounter. I'm sorry to see that he ran from.
I believe the enemy you were looking for is a guard.
Yes, the guards, the sentry and the guards are worth a fair bit. The Grey Naga is worth a fair bit, but the Grey Naga almost too high hit points. Perhaps if you get the Grey Naga solo, the Mass Immune Excalibur combo would do the trick. But that's kind of some of the things that you might be looking for up there. Otherwise, there's one encounter on the Warmech Bridge that's actually worth a lot. That's actually fairly easy to do, and that's the Metal Slime fight. And I think 5 Metal Slimes can spawn, and it's one of the rare encounters on the Warmech Bridge. And that is actually worth a fairly large amount of experience as well.
Oh, Maya's clearing out the less than greater than chests. A pile of cash and a rare and beautiful pro cape. It's a nice piece of caster armor. It's in fact that anyone but black belts and masters can equip. And that's nice because there are not a lot of shields out there that any of the mages can equip. So your 8 absorb for your black wizard or white wizard is going to be pretty helpful here.
Yeah, unfortunately, our runners don't realize that the crown is in the 3rd floor basement of Earth Cave, and so we are probably going to see a full clear of sea and sky on the grounds that they can gain some experience out of it. My hope, though, is that one of these runners maybe clears sky and then maybe checks Earth, but I don't know, because I can't say I would have made that play. I would probably be checking mermaids, and I'd probably be checking down Krakenside, so you never know. Question in chat, what's the goal for this round? This is a standard kill chaos round, but the caveat is that our runners must find and cash in the tail. So this is show some class, and so we know the tail is the incentivized ice cave chest item. Actually, where are we at? We're at the 112 mark, and we haven't done a recap. So let's do a quick recap at the moment. We have not seen the inside of Marsh Cave because the TNT was in Matoya's cave, and then Minochi struggled for a long time in the volcano just to come out with a ribbon and an adamant. The ice cave is the everything cave. The floater, the slab, and the tail are all in the ice cave. In addition to that, the crown is located in B3 of Earth Cave. And so the only person in the featured who currently has the crown is Bismarck. So once he makes his way through the ice cave, he will actually officially be in go mode, and he will be the first runner on stream to be in go mode. What he lacks, however, will be some progression that Maya and Minochi are picking up right now.
And that is your 1 hour and 12-minute update. Thank you, Sports Thunder. That was incredible. I would also like to point out that while it looks like Bismarck is so far behind because he didn't get the floater and the tail as quickly as everybody else, and then he went and completed the entire crown quest, the crown is the hardest to find thing, really. And he found it first. So he may be able to make a bit of a comeback here if everybody wastes a ton of time checking chests in the Sky Castle and in the Sea Shrine.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest deal, is that they are taking this time to check, whereas Bismarck could feasibly just bypass all of these difficult chests to find and go right for Tiamat. And right for Kraken, too, if he skips Mermaid.
Yeah, it's crazy, but he's going to be in go mode, and he has no idea that he's like 4 chests away from it. I mean, he already found the slab. He was probably like, okay, well, that means the incentive is probably the floater, because if it's not here, it's got to be in Volcano, but come on. And then he's going to find the floater, and he's going to be like, well, wait a minute. Yeah. Pretty sweet ice cave for him. This is going to be a moment of realization.
And I think he is a white mage, so he has his exit, but I just had this thought. You pick up the slab, you pick up the floater, you don't know what the incentivized chest is, and you didn't bring a white mage. What are the odds that you walk that floater out without checking the incentivized chest?
Oh, I thought
it's probably.
I thought Minochi was going to do it, but it's incentivized, so you would be crazy to do it.
You would be crazy, but I also know that some runners would take the floater as gospel and run it out, and I don't know. See, I'd be torn. It depends on the party's levels. Like if you go in when Minochi went in, I don't know if he took that floater and ran because you're so close to the exit. But I think Bismarck, you have that many levels. You're fine where you're standing. You can get back through the ice cave, or in his case, he had exit. But if you're, anybody who brought 2 red mages or a red and a black, something that doesn't have exit, you probably have enough levels at this point, hope.
Well, he is basically in go mode from a chest checking perspective. He got all the unknowns now. It's all just leg work and, busy work and defeating fiends as far as he's concerned. He just went mentally from, oh man, I wasted all that time checking the keylock chest behind to, well, am I the only one in go mode? I'd be able to make a bit of a comeback here.
Question in chat, what is the crown lock towards progression? So one of the things that was discovered in the process of making and development of Final Fantasy is that the door immediately after using the loot after Phantom is actually locked by the Mystic Key. And so that wasn't discovered, as far as I'm aware, until the randomizer came around. When you figured, okay, well, the crown's just out there somewhere. You don't need it for progression. You don't need the crown to get the TNT. Once you get the TNT, you're out there. And so they tried to do as minimal as possible. And so you get through Temple of Fiends, and you go to push on the door, and so everyone needs to do the crown chain of quests to get the Mystic Key in order to be able to finish the seed. That wasn't so in our stage 4 flags, where the objective was to kill Phantom, so the crown was not a necessary objective in that particular flag set, but in most standard Chaos Seeds it is. Until we start rolling out our NPC shuffle, when we have no idea whether the crown will lead to the Mystic Key or not.
Yeah. The other thing that's curious, Sangreef pointed it out, I was building a feature called Chaos Rush, which is going to be used in the tournament tiebreaker, even in the league tiebreaker, where the key lock door in the Temple of Fiends Revisited was unlocked, so you can basically take on Chaos as soon as you like. You just level up and go fight them. All of the barriers are taken down. The loot is given to you by Princess Sarah right off the bat. You start with all the orbs lit, and the key lock doors are unlocked in Temple of Fiends, so it becomes just a quick grind and take out Chaos race. And that's when I discovered that every single door on the fire and water floors are also key locked. So not just the one after the Phantom, but everything on the fire and water floors. So it took some doing to open all that up.
I wonder if the original developers of this game knew that was going to happen. If they knew you could somehow magically force the key before you could get it, or not get the key at all.
It's just one of many sequence break prevention things they tossed into this game, and for all of its bugs, it's not very sequence breakable. Everything you can do, they pretty much intended for you to do. Short of, taking the ROM apart and reassembling it in a random capacity. I don't think even Nasir saw that one coming.
Right. I mean, I remember when I would play this as a kid, I'd actually always go to Ordeals and get the class change after beating Lich, before entering those things I really, really liked doing, before I discovered that it was bad for black belts to do.
Yeah, of course. None of us knew. I got some whiz vamps here.
This is definitely going to be a good experience fight for Minochi.
Yeah, at this point he's got his ninja back alive now. With the level 3 nuke, it's pretty ideal if you can get some charges for your ninja. Bismarck makes his way to the Gaia armor shop. Probably had a hunch those pro rings were going to be there, because the Gaia armor shop is the last town's armor shop that you get to visit. It's the only one that's available after you get the floater that isn't available before finding the floater, and so if you haven't found the pro rings in stores yet, you know it's going to be here. One of the more wacky features coming up, not something recommended for tournament play by any means, is the option to randomize the shops instead of shuffling them. It basically means that any weapon or armor could be purchasable for sale in shop. Masamune, Dragon Armor, you name it. So it's pretty wacky and fun to play with friends, but you can't really take it seriously. It definitely breaks this game. All right, it's time to hype it up, folks. We got Minochi on the bridge.
War mech.
Toga.
Let's get some of them Papa Blesses in chat.
Another handy thing to remember is that everything on this bridge is runnable, War mech included. And one of the things I haven't seen yet with unrunnables.
Oh, I was just gonna say that double fighter fight would have been good for Minochi to take too. And here's the double Nacho fight. That's another good one for experience.
Looks like he's not interested.
Well, I don't mean to play the spoiler on this one, but if Minochi started off the power cycle, it doesn't look like we're going to see War mech in any of our racers if they power cycle from the start. Because if that's a good encounter, if there's a good encounter right on the front end, it looks like all of our runners might do that, and therefore everybody would be at the same stage of the when going through here. About the only thing to see is maybe Bismarck might opt through it since he's in go mode. So who knows?
Exactly. Never say never. His lead may evaporate if he finds himself staring down the barrel of Metal Gear, but
maybe. Artea would know, because I think Artea would know the encounter table, know where that 7 is in the first 15 encounters or what.
And sort of by popular demand, but also for the purposes of balancing, the specifically excludes Warmech. So if you wanted Warmech in the top 4 slot, it doesn't look like you're going to get it. But one of the more crazy ideas that's been tossed around is replacing every number 8 slot with Warmech too, as another wacky option. So he's always lurking, 1 in 64 battles. We'll see if we get around to that one. It is not...
That's just what we need. We need a long encounter one that ends in a Warmech.
Maybe not.
Can you imagine if you had a really short encounter one off of a cycle that was an 8 and it was a Warmech? You could farm that for days.
Yeah. Once you're ready. Hey, Cure 4 at level 7. That might be a little bit tempting if you got the levels.
But no Quad X for Bismarck.
And he's going to go pick up the cube to reach the Sky Castle. Even though he doesn't have it, we still consider him in go mode because he knows where it is. With the upcoming NPC shuffle, the major feature of the 2.0 release is that all of these NPCs are dealing out random rewards. So you're not in go mode until you have the cube. Never mind going to just visit the cube robot.
Yeah, so you're going to have to wonder where the cube is, where the rod is, where the chime is, where the oxiel is, because they're not likely to be in their usual place.
Yeah, there's one popular format to play with the fetch quests unshuffled. So the people that exchange one thing for another will still do so predictably, and then the full NPC rando is where you can get anything from anybody. And both are popular alternatives, yeah. Looks like Minochi's not going to bother with the mermaids. But he is going to have to bother with this unrunnable clump of Wizsahags and Arsahags.
Yeah, I heard you mention, I think it was maybe you that mentioned this the other day, but a little bit of trivia here is there's an A encounter and a B encounter to every encounter set. And the pirates that you see in Provoca are an A encounter, and the B encounter is actually this Wizsahag and Red Sahag fight. And so because the pirate fight's unrunnable, that makes that fight unrunnable. The unrunnable shuffle, unfortunately, will skip the pirates to just easily run away from the pirates, which means that encounter will also remain unrunnable.
Yeah, the runnability is, like you say, stored on the formation, so both the A and B will either be unrunnable or runnable together. And that means that fight is always going to be unrunnable as long as the pirates are. But I am, in the back of my mind, planning on splitting up that check, so that'll require rewriting the battle a little bit to pick up the runnability separately for A and B, but that's a bit of work, so haven't got around to that one yet.
I didn't know if you had thought whether or not it was possible to shuffle what encounters are A and B on the table.
Yeah, it's more like using another bit to separate the unrunnability for the A side and the B side, and then check that specific bit when the battle starts. But now we're getting way into the weeds. So in the meantime, Minochi's going to have to kill these stupid things. They just keep showing up to ruin his run here. Maya at Tiamat, 500 damage, game over. Well, that was quick. Looks like he's lighting his orbs backwards.
Yeah, let's see where some of these runners end up going, because as long as they will not find the...
And Bismarck gets out of there. Looks like he's not going to do the Sea Shrine just yet. And he's instead going to pop into Gaia. Salty just recently either out or just walk out of Mirage, and he's gone back in from the ground floor.
found crazy in floor 1, but he could have walked that out. He did a blue D grind according to angry.
Was exit learnable post promotion, or is he doomed to have to walk everything out?
Exit was learnable post promotion. I believe it was in the 4th slot of level.
Okay, that explains it then. He must have exited it out and gone back in to now go after Tiamat.
I believe it was level 3.
And here we are talking about what happens when you don't know where the crown is. Minochi is, most importantly, not in go mode, so he is going to painstakingly spelunk all of these chests on the way down to Kraken. And they're spread out really far, and there's only one, except the Sharknado room, which has a few, and a trap tile you have to step on twice. So this is where he's going to lose a bit more time, but fortunately for him, everyone is going to lose that time except Bismarck, who is in a good position to make up some ground. I really look forward to picking his brain after this run if he has the time to join us in the booth and ask him what the emotional ride was like from wasting all his time doing that crown quest to all of a sudden being in go mode like only 5 minutes later.
Yeah, and I really wonder how he's going to feel if and when he gets to that point. Because certainly, like I said, he could skip all of this. He could skip all the treasures in Sea Shrine, where a lot of these people are going to be taking a lot of time on. Yeah, who knows? I hope he comes out with this, but certainly I'm definitely looking forward to a very good finish from our run.
Still definitely too early to call. I can't help but pull for Minochi because he's played at such a high level through the league, and I'm looking forward to a real tiebreaker at the end. Salty busts out the nuke hammer on some of these badmans. I'm pretty sure the plural of badman is badmans. I mean, I don't know if there's any authority in the world on that, but I want to make that call.
Bad men?
Can't be. It's got to be badmans.
Okay.
All right, good. That was easy.
Yeah, so I'm peeking in on Quicklit, who is on the Bridge of Destiny, and he hit the 2 fighters same as Minochi did. So, not that I hate to play spoiler on this one, but it looks like if everyone takes the power cycle right off the front, there's not going to be a war match. Bismarck will be one of the only exceptions, as he has not searched treasure chest.
Yeah, I believe Badman's is actually the affiliation, but in other parts of the world, it's perhaps. Same question with Evil Men and Evil Mans. Oh, Bismarck definitely turned up the speed and said, forget the rest of those chests. They're too far spread apart. I don't have warp. I want Tiamat's heads.
Yeah, I like Bismarck's chances, but I'd also like to see Bismarck gain a few more levels. Because one of the things you also need to worry about is being able to survive a nuke blast or a nuclear blast.
Oh yeah, no, he's operating on a shoestring budget. There's no doubt about that. And here again, Salty has to check every one of these chests. Has no idea where the crown is. Can't risk missing it. So you can count the minutes. Oh, they sure are. You can. This room, this particular floor with the rooms in every direction reminds me a bit dimensions with the rooms that are separated by the clock. And you got to spin the hands around. It's just takes so long. Melee is joining us late. Let's do the 90-minute recap. You did such a bullet job of it last time, Sports Sunday. You got to do it again.
All right, here we go. So we have not seen the inside of Marsh Cave. None of our runners have been in there because the TNT was in Matoya's cave. The Adamant and the Ribbon, as you're about to find out on Maya's stream, are in the Armory. And so that's where those are. The Ice Cave was the Everything Cave, containing the Slab, the Floater, and then eventually the Incentivized Tail, which is one of our required items in this seed. And then the Crown, of course, is in Earth B3, in which 2 of our 6 runners have found the Crown, one of them being our on-stream runner, Bismarck. Minochi has kind of had a fairly large struggle to get the items out of the Armory, went pretty low level. Minochi's was a little behind for a little while. It seems like he's right there in the group of people that have yet to find the Crown. And so right now it's just a big old search for everybody and a big old...
It should be pointed out that Bismarck early diverged from everybody else by sailing north to the Castle Ordeals. That's where he found the ruby in the incentivized chest, which proved to be something of a bust because it hasn't been technically necessary. However, he took that ruby and he cashed it in early. It sailed all the way, did sort of the vanilla Titans tunnel, got down to Sarda, got the rod, and decided, what the heck, I've done all this, I'm going to clear Earth. And on his way down, passed behind the rod-locked plate on B3, he finds... Oh, no, sorry. Before defeating the vampire on B3, he found the Crown, which... Then, upon defeating Lich, set him off. He's like, oh, well, you know, it's possible that the floater's crown locked, I guess. I'm going to do it. So he does the entire crown quest, pretty much for naught. But then he went to Ice and was instantly, from what we were sure to say was last at the time, instantly into go mode. So he's been making up ground big time since then.
Yeah, and it's just because he's not had this in Floating Fortress, Mirage Tower, and 5 chests in Sea Shrine. So whereas everyone is mermaids and desperately digging through Floating Fortress and whatnot, Bismarck has that advantage to be able to just fly through these, provided the fiends are friendly to him, which he's beaten Titan, so at least Titan was friendly to him. And it looks like he will probably get to Kraken before anybody else, so he's going to give us our first look at Kraken as well.
You've only got 1 ribbon, but you do have plenty of charges of wall. Are you going to spend any time messing around with the mermaids, or are you just going to go chop up Kraken and move along?
At this point, you go ahead and chop up Kraken. There's that are kind of free. 3 of them in the Sharknado room, and then 2 you'll pass along the way. You can check those 4 ribbon and see if you get a little lucky.
No, the wheels come off. I'm sorry to interrupt, but he's missing a critical component.
Oh no!
He's got no oxy, no bomb.
Oh no! Go back, Bismarck! It's in on-rack!
Oh no!
Bottle is the item vendor in on-rack.
Well, when we said he was in go mode, we were pretty...
Unless he
no-go mode.
Unless he bought it and used it and forgot to go cash it in. Shop here. Okay, he must have used it. Okay.
He paused. Well, he sat for a while. He's like, I could... And I had a bottle. Yeah. Okay.
He cashed it in and forgot to cash the bottle. People will say, oh, I like it. Out of sight. That, and then that happened.
Well, that only proves to be about a 1-minute mistake, which is not nearly as catastrophic.
Oh, that's where I thought he was. I forgot.
Oh, yeah,
I thought he forgot to look for it at all, and he's like, "Oh no, I gotta check Gaia. I gotta check Caravan and whatnot." And he'll realize it's there. But it was good. That was only. I have a tendency to overblow things. I'm sorry. I just, if it's not clean and lined up in order, a huge setback.
Really, you're right. It's very minor, but I'm sure the frustration of it is sitting with him. It's amusing this game has so few actual quests to do. You gotta go turn in the slab and learn lay finish. You gotta open up the bottle and go talk to the fairy. Anyone at any time can simply just leave a step out and lose a chunk of time, just like that. Happens to everybody. The first time you forget to get the mystic key and get halfway through the Temple of Fiends Revisited and can't go through that door, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, or forgetting to grab the cube and making it all the way to the 3rd floor of Mirage. That one's a bad one because you have to go so far. But Crown not having Mystic Key is pretty bad.
It's particularly bad if you forgot all about the crown and have no idea where it is. But that would be a far bigger mistake.
Or like, you know, if you... I don't know where I was going.
Alright. Well, we do know where Maya and Minochi are going. They are clearing out chests like it's their job. And we also know that they are not clearing out the right ones, so they're going to lose even more time here, painstakingly spelunking the volcano and the sea shrine. We could say relatively fruitlessly. Sure, they'll find some gear, but that's not what they're interested in. They're looking for the crown, and they're not going to find it.
Yeah, I know Minochi usually likes the early Earth Cave play. It's interesting that he didn't go that route. But, you know, if he felt like he needed getting levels on the way to Volcano and stuff like that, I you know, on that regard, I guess I can see it. If Nuke were 1 or 2, maybe Minochi goes...
Well, Salty knows what's best and is going to take the time to dismantle that Nocho for experience. Worth 800 is pretty good. Out of nuke charges is a little bit unfortunate.
So Bismarck's just making his way over to Kraken as quickly as possible.
Yeah, the sea shrine's pretty quick when you aren't checking any chests. And it is massive and expansive when you are. Minochi. Looks like he's going to go check ordeals before...
Oh, and he's going to be disappointed when he gets... Because if you get to ordeals by this point, either you're going to feel bad that it is there, or you're going to feel even worse when you realize it's not.
It's been that kind of a run for Minochi.
And he's also going to... If he hasn't discovered them already, he's going to find the mummies with stone touch.
Question from chat, did Mono not do ordeals? Not many people did, actually.
Yeah, if you did ordeals early, you got some levels, but ordeals was a bust. It was directly a bust. It was indirectly a boon for Bismarck, because he fell for the bait, which led him to the crown, which, you know, kind of made him the current soul go mode.
Is it really falling for the bait if it works? Or is that just...
Oh, and Maya's gonna hit up the marsh cave.
Oh, no.
I know they're not going to be that frequent, but we remember that we have those nuke scorpions now.
Yeah, this is a little bit of putting bad money after good. You've got the rod. You've got a bunch of chests in Earth that you can sort of check kind of on the way while you're going to kill Lich, which you have to do anyway.
Yeah,
is there much of a reason why you wouldn't do that? Or why you would do this instead? Is it just blind guesswork?
No, especially when you don't have the Mystic Key at this point. Marsh is just not good in terms of objective numbers of numbers and of accomplishing the objective of killing Lit.
Fuchsia pointing out that he hasn't actually even set foot in the Sea Shrine either, so that is pretty chest dense if you're looking for places to check.
While on the flip side, barring the nuke scorpions and anything else crazy, he should be able to get through this no problem. It's, you know, he's got to be pretty well leveled for a quick, I mean, hopefully a 3-minute in and out is what he's thinking.
My stream has degenerated to something of a slideshow. Our restreamer Nora did caution me earlier that some kind of storm is blowing through Austin, Texas. I'm not going to make any generalizations about what part of but I guess if the weather's...
Yep, so bear with us until the show ends. We will be here. There is a ribbon, so at least there's a consolation prize at the bottom of the cereal box.
Perhaps a literal, still, depending on what the ribbon's made out of. So a bracelet, iron armor, some early game junk from the early game dungeon. I'm probably not too happy to find either of those things. We'll see if he finally turns his attention elsewhere. Well, it looks like Salty's taking more the approach of, I'm going to clear the dungeons I have to clear while I look for the crown. And if he sticks with that plan, he will possibly find it when he does Earth next.
I mean, if you're Maya, maybe you're feeling like this is a gamble. Because, I mean, the way the seeds played out, no one needed to go to Marsh with the TNT, and just the paths drove everybody away. So if it were there, you could be one of the few to check it early, and that's unfortunately your feast or famine gamble.
Alright, Bismarck versus Carey. Round 1. Fight!
Alright, we're getting some comments that the stream in chat is better. All we did was smack it on the side. That actually tends to work really.
Yeah, I just gave it sort of like a really stern look. Like a don't... from Maya. Just one glorious find after another.
Chat pointing out that Carey has fast. Well, Carey fast is no match for Biz. It's towards the Temple of Fiends. One fish, depending on supplies. I mean, yeah, Fuchsia pointing out in chat, terrible levels and gear. Yeah, I mean, that's the one downside, and he's probably got to feel like he's got to just take a... Can't feel like he's in the lead, not with the runners that are in here and the way the season's gone for him. He's definitely got to feel like he's a little behind, having checked Earth and on the progression. But knowing guys like Minochi, and of course, you know, the rest of the pack is no... he's got to feel like he's not the only one who made the decision to go Earth, and to discover the treasure trove that was the Ice Cave. He's got to feel like everybody already had them before he...
Tragic meta game thinking that he's going to have to fend off here. He's been a bit of a part-time runner. He recently welcomed in a new kid. I'm sure he's very busy, as that'll happen when you start a family. So maybe he's a little rusty, maybe he's a little nervous, but one way or another, he is in the Temple of Fiends Revisited. He's got a shot to take this home, which would be pretty exciting. So, go Bismarck.
It's a great start for him with 4 gas dragons. Yes, it's a slowdown fight. Yes, he's probably got to be mad that it's a slowdown fight, but this fight's worth like 4,000 experience. This will definitely get him at least a level on his characters. And Minochi finds his ruby, and so now he's got to be sulking away at this point. To which he's got to be thinking the only place he can go now is the Earth Cave. Minnow can't go Marsh Cave,
right? He probably can. He's using Zap and black shirts instead of nuke charges. I don't think he has any intention of exiting out of here.
Oh no, Minochi, no!
Oh no. Sometimes you wish you could sort of reach through the internet and just guide him. Go west,
yeah.
Man.
Those would be spoilers, and those are bad. Don't go into anybody's channel and give them spoilers, folks.
Oh, God. No, I'm not advocating something like that. I was just sort of trying to, you know... It's too bad to see the run go off the rails like that.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's a shame of it is if he's not using nuke charges, he's got to think that perhaps he's not going to exit out, that he's just going to take that as a one-off fight, which is fine because he's made it to Phantom. Because I was in a similar position. I think, Nitz, you know this. I was in a similar position not too long ago in which I encountered Gas Dragon fight after Gas Dragon fight after Gas Dragon fight, and I took that out because that's a lot of experience.
Yep, but I mean, he's kept his ninja dead at level 2 when it wouldn't probably, well, getting from level 2 to, say, level 17 to have a couple of charges does take... So, that would have been a play he could have considered too. But no, he's definitely taken the 3-man party, and he's definitely taken to them as far as he can, and he's definitely doing that now. I got the Chimera Jymera. Maya has made the move to Sea Shrine, which he hadn't yet cleared out anyway, so this one's definitely on the list to check, but the Sea Shrine is vast, and he's going to have to full clear it for his own peace of mind, so we can check in on Maya in a few minutes. Well, I gotta give Bismarck some credit. I think we both wildly underestimated how much time he gained by finding the crown in the unusual location he did. And perhaps it's just because nobody checked Earth when maybe they could have sooner. But in the end, it's given him like a gigantic lead. Minus all the levels.
Yeah, and we're going to find out here just how bad Temple of Fiends is and whether or not he can go through it at the level that he's...
His party's low enough level that if he takes some of these fights and can, you know, if he's got the heals and the healing magic to keep his party healthy, he'll gain a ton of levels here. He's pretty much got a full set of caster items. Mage Staff, Black Shirt, Thor Hammer. Yeah, Bismarck isn't by much time by killing mobs. No, and the mobs in Temple of Fiends Revisited are generally very rich with the EXP too. The problem is, if you want to lock that down, cast exit, throw up a house, and save it, then you got to start over. So there's that huge risk-reward between just trying to grind those levels on the way to chaos and then not saving it in any way versus at some point saying, no, this was too much, I'm going to have to start over. We have the luxury of knowing that he's still far enough ahead that even if he did that, cast exit and went right back in, he would still be in the lead. So it would be definitely a, you know, fairly safe play, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, I think, and if I were in his position, I think at that point I may have to feel like I'm not in the lead. If the goal is to finish well, perhaps he does that. If the goal is to finish first, probably not.
Yeah, he was totally a dark horse. So the goal of finishing first, I'm not sure if that was had ever entered his mind, but where he is in the Temple of Fiends Revisited, and with nobody being finished, he's got to think he's got a shot.
Yeah, I think you're thinking one of two things. You're thinking, all right, well, how bad is this? Because no one's finished yet, and he doesn't realize he's the only one in there. Or he's got to be thinking, all right, any moment now. And he's going to be looking at the clock. At any moment now, someone's going to done. Any second now. And that's going to nag him all the way through. He's probably going to get to Tiamat 2 and go, maybe. But it's gonna
maybe.
It's going to haunt him until he done.
Well, it looks like he's doing some running now. Oh man, fight here on the fire floor. That's a good place to hit the rough patch in the encounter table, because the fire floor is definitely the easiest.
Yeah, definitely. Where you want that long hero run is in the water air floor.
Yeah, the notorious unrunnable waters that come in big packs. You want as few of those as you can in your run here.
So now we're taking a look at Carry 2 here for Bismarck.
Gets off a white shirt. He'll do that a couple of times. Boost his evade. He's got his power bonk. If Carry's script is mostly attacking and he gets enough white shirts off, this won't be too bad. Oh, got a lit 2 there. And lit 3, not the friendliest Carry. Yeah, with all those casts of Invis 2, you'd love to see some attacks that miss out of Carry. That's what you're really hoping for. But Carry's having none of that. It's just laying down a lightning storm.
Yeah, and that's a shame, because that's going to eat through resources and whatnot. Usually you like to get through Carry 2, but Carry 2 is very rarely a pushover. Ideally, you want to hope to maybe build up that fighter with some power gauntlet charges, maybe a fast if it's low enough level, and just kind of clear it through like you just did.
There you go. 8 hits, 1100 damage. Carry can sit down, and he can pick up the pieces. Still got lots of magic charges left, and heal potions, hopefully. Well, that's it for his heal 3s and his exits, so he's definitely not leaving now.
Nor would I leave at this point if I were him.
No, I wasn't really suggesting it. More that it's definitely not happening. There it is.
Here's a 5 water fight. This is the one and only unrunnable encounter not named Kraken 2 on this floor.
They've got...
Oh, look at that. Wait,
Cremate.
Was there a whack on the first? Was there a whack on the first? No, they have low hit points. Okay, not too low, though.
They got Cremate too, which is a bit of a nuisance. His red wizard does not appear to have fire resistance. No ribbon on him, so he's taking some heavy damage here. I think he's got some life 2 charges, so he'd almost wish he would die so that he could bring him back full with life 2.
Yeah, I believe life 2 was at 5, and so wherever that falls, more likely the white mage would have it before the red mage.
Minochi finally full clears Volcano. Just saw him pluck out the red dragon chest, so still no crown.
So we've got Salty Fry finally down in the Earth Cave, finally heading in the right direction. We've got Minochi back in the volcano, not heading in the right direction. We've got Maya fighting Kraken 1, which we'll figure out if he heads in the right... He should! I think he's got nothing else to check.
And we got Bismarck just about to start fighting Kraken 2. Way out in front, but resting precariously on dwindling magic charges and low levels. Yeah, when you start getting into the sacrificial strats, moving your red wizard up to the front so that he takes a few hits off the bat, that's when you know that the wheels are beginning to come off. So he's got a ruse and a fast, so his knight's looking good. We'll see where he goes next. Try and get past Kraken 2, who is notoriously deadly. The good old-fashioned gonna get the job done. Yet, anyway.
Oh, and there's a nuclear.
That's not pretty.
And this is where I think Bismarck's run could be very quickly coming to an end.
One last gasp on the fighter, and 750 damage. And that Cure 3 kept him alive.
Oh, and wow,
and he
makes
it. And nuclear is out of the way and in the past, and critically, his red wizard has hung on too. And you're saying, well, he's kind of out of charges.
Isn't there 4 nuclears? Like, because they all come off of Warmack, right?
I believe that they are reduced, so they don't actually all 4 get shuffled in. But I can't remember now. Yeah. Oh, this isn't pretty. An unrunnable stack of worms.
I believe Artea called that in chat.
Yeah, I think Artea's played this game once or twice. Has a pretty good, exhaustive encyclopedic memory and ability to predict what's coming. That's inspiring, really. That is a leg up if you know ahead of time what you're going to fight.
And we've got Salty with his crown, so now it's a relative beeline to Lich. If Bismarck wipes here, it's anybody's game. It will not say anybody. It's Salty Fry and Minochi are back in this. Also, looking at our off-streamer, we do have Quicklet in Temple of Fiends as well.
Oh boy, it's going to be all the rock here. He gets off
Bismarck
a couple of ruses.
Bismarck still has a significant lead, but unfortunately, this is man mode time.
I want to see another ruse because Team Matt's still hitting him. There we go. Now he should be immune to physical attacks. Time to cross your fingers that he doesn't have any devastating spells. Oh, I'm sorry, Bismarck. I'm sorry.
Oh, and he is high absorb and high evade.
That's not good news.
Oh, and he's darked. Oh, no.
Well. Yeah, this is, here it goes.
Oh, 2-hit 555.
Let's hope for more. Oh, no.
Keep inking him. Keep inking him. Boy, that's,
One hit, 2 hit, 1 hit, 2 hit.
Oh, he's crossed. I think he's got to crossed 1,000 at this point.
He's hanging on by his fingernails here.
Oh, and he got it!
And he's got it! He got it!
That was about 1,200 hit points.
He's got just enough heal potions here to get himself most of the way back. He's going to keep his fingers crossed. He's going to move to the front because, you know, why not?
Well, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how ideal slot is that third slot in case you manage to force an RNG loop. But I don't know what that would look like if it's a good thing or a bad thing depending on what happens. Who knows? If he could get him like melee lock.
Talk about just enough heal potions. He's got 3 more, and he's really thinking about whether or not he wants to save one to drink in the battle. That's the circumstances we're in here. He's got the power bonk. He finally decides, what the heck, let's put the Aegis shield on there. Got the Masamune and the defense sword.
Best of luck to you, Bismarck.
For a show.
Oh, what a crushing hit off the...
Looks like he forgot to give him the ribbon, didn't he? That might have been That might have been what I would call a terrible... Oh, no! Well, we're hoping that this Chaos is a bit of a softie, because he's definitely got Cure 4 in there, and everything else under the sun.
Oh, and there's Nuke, and Bismarck is taking a wipe right there.
And it's all a big bust. And because no one is done, he still probably feels under the gun. He's going to try and do it all again.
So we've got Swirl, what was it? Swirl Tornado is the first two skills, and then Cure 4 Nuke as the first two spells. This is going to... I really hope Bismarck gains a level or two on those other characters. I think he did. Just you want to try and have a better odds of surviving a nuke?
You got to get the ribbon on there, too. Like, I mean, that's going to cut most of that elemental damage in half. And that's really what whittled him down super fast in the Chaos battle in particular. Most of the absorb from all that gear isn't playing a role in those spells because they're going to cut through it anyway. You need to get that, sacrifice that 16 absorb for the resist all.
Purity reminding me in chat, it was Swirl Blaze. Thank you.
Maya now in Earth where he needs to be. So is Minochi. He's got his crown. He's going to take on Lich. And with Bismarck's wipe and reduced levels, he's a threat here to come back. Salty as well, who's now fully got his Mystic Key and is ready to enter TOFR.
Yep, and not to divert from what's going on the stream, but we have quickly on the fire floor. So we actually have a runner off stream who might get the first place finish, depending on how he does. So I will be keeping an eye on him, and we will see what happens here in the next, let's call it 5 or 10 minutes.
Looks like Salty's nuking the gas dragons. I mean, looks like because he is. The question is that a sign that he's going to use up his nuke charges early, or is he thinking about just grinding a bit? Or is it the unrunnability of him that's got him scared?
Yes, all the above. I don't know, because I feel like if you're in business position and you just didn't survive that, either you're recklessly just going to try that again until it fails, or you just have to finish strong, maybe get those levels, exit out with 1 or 2 levels. It looks like that's what he's doing.
Looks like he's going for a bit of a trip of this floor instead of taking on the Phantom, so maybe that is what's about to happen. I think at this point it's safe to say, if you were super late getting the crown, and most of these players are, no one is finished yet. You know that Temple of Fiends Revisit is probably pretty dangerous.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the tougher parts about skipping many of the chests in that dungeon is, yes, you want to blitz from point A to point B, but I think you definitely, I think, have to take more fights than he did. Even if you're gonna blitz the chests, I don't say you got to take all of them. There are certainly some fights not worth taking, but I definitely think you got to take more fights than you run from if you're gonna skip 2 dungeons worth of treasure chests, 3 dungeons worth of treasure chests, really. Most of that, of course, is.
I was going to say, don't look now, but Maya has finally found his crown.
Hooray! Yeah, most of that's going to be in the floating fortress, of course. That's where the highest experience yield is going to end up being.
And Salty brings down another pack of dragons. Nice EXP from all the fights on this floor.
So just to make you guys aware, since we are reaching the end of the race, what's kind of at stake here? Minochi is trying to play his way into a league playoff. We already have an official first place victor in Artea. The best that any of the remaining runners could do is just to finish well. Unless you're Minochi or Tristal, Minochi and Tristal actually have cleared their zeros every stage of this game. And so if they manage to clear their zero for stage 8, they will enter a playoff in a three race playoff for the championship. And so Minochi has to notch a win to punch his ticket into that playoff. Otherwise, we're just going to make Artea play those races alone. So
somebody is definitely going to be playing those races because they are very clever and they're interesting and they're unique and never been done before and no time to practice. So one way or another, we're going to have some playoff races at the end of this. Just 3 individual runs. But we hope they have meaning, and we hope we see Minochi and Tristal clear their chaos points in stage 8 to really bring some excitement to those races.
So we've got Bismarck and Minochi high-fiving here at Phantom. Salty Fries walking away from that explosion.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, there's something rotten in the state of the lower parts of the Temple of Fiends Revisited in Denmark, and I want no part of it yet. Grind a few levels, bust out, and come back bigger and stronger. Alrighty, Maya's about to finish off Lich, light all 4 orbs, and be as close to ready to take on Topher, with the exception of returning that crown to the kindly old king who has been waiting patiently for it for a long time.
I think he's misunderstood that kindly old king.
He's playing the long game, is what he's doing.
Just to update you on an off-stream runner, Quicklet is currently on T-Mat 2, but has lost his red mage. He is down to a knight and a black mage. Still working that Tiamat fight. So one of the interesting things about the fact that we haven't had a finish yet in regards to league scoring is, of course, that with the 2 hour and 11-minute mark coming, any finish is going to decrease the number of chaos points that's handed out. A finish comes at 2:20, then a full chaos point would be granted at the 4 hour and 40-minute mark. And so definitely it's easy to score very low in this particular game if this happens to be your best game of the week.
Looks like Minochi and Salty both engaged the Lich. Maybe they're different Liches. Maybe they just can't see each other. Maybe they're almost exactly the same. They have the same party, and they've like sort of evolved into a quantum superposition here. But one way or another, they're very close to each other, and Temple of Fiends are visited. Quicklet engaged in a knockdown, drag him out fight with Chaos, and he's pulled it off with a knight with 100 HP solo. And so off stream, wah wah, our winner this evening is Quicklet.
That is an official SRL time of 2:12:27. This is Quicklet's second victory in round 8, I believe.
He's just got a knack for round 8. What can be said?
Yeah, he made it with a solo knight with 100 hit points. So definitely GG to him, because it was getting down to the wire there for him as well.
Yeah, it was pretty touch and go. Also, a pretty sweet knight sprite that he had there too, all decked out in white. Looked a bit like a knight in a tuxedo with a white cape. A pack of wild Agamas. Bismarck says, no thank you, I'm taking this run a little more seriously. Alright, we now have all of our on-stream runners at various stages of Temple of Fiends revisited. Bismarck and Minochi both fighting Carry. Check that, Minochi has just defeated Carry. Salty on the water floor, just slightly ahead of both of them. Maya closer to the entrance, taking on the Gas Dragons. While we work our way down to the depths here, there's another appropriate time to thank our restreamer Randomania for putting us on tonight. Friday post prime time when everyone's relaxing, unwinding into their evenings, and our tireless friends at Randomania putting on the show for us. Norestra, our restreamer, and his Texan internet, which proved to the task this evening. And Zangrave, our tracker, has been all over it. There's a lot of buttons to light up when you're following 4 people in Final Fantasy Randomizer, and Zangrave does a great job. By all means, follow them, as well as our on-stream runners, Maya, Bismarck, Minochi, Salty Fry, our champion tonight, Quicklet. They all show up and put on a great show for our entertainment, so give them those follows.
Speaking of, we are joined now in the commentator's booth by our champion tonight, Quicklet. GG, Quicklet.
Thank you.
So we had you off stream, so talk us through your run.
So the early game was pretty bad. It was kind of just hard to find anywhere to gain levels. The only spells available were like, I think Zap was level 2, and I think Sleep, something like that, was level 1. I mean, Fast was level 1 too, and Saber. So I think that's how I killed Garland, by punching him to death with a Sabered Red Mage. But yeah, after that, it was kind of a crown hunt, which ended up being an Earth, which was the next to last place I could have gone. I didn't go to Marsh Cave, but that was next on my agenda. But I ran my normal kind of fighter. I don't really like the black belt in this flag set, so managed to find the Dragon Armor and the Aegis Shield and the Mazmoon, so I was pretty much good to go then.
Yeah, you got to know that Bismarck entered Temple of Fiends at probably the 145 mark, and unfortunately wiped at Chaos because he found the crown very early. He ended up going and diving Earth after Ordeals, because Ordeals had the ruby, and he took the ruby bait, and it led to the crown. And so I think, unfortunately for him, where a lot of players checked Floating Fortress, Mirage, and Sea Shrine and gained levels in the process, he actually was slightly stunted in his levels. And so now he's working on, I think, his 3rd pass through of Temple of Fiends.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. He was definitely behind early in levels and in progression because he wasted a little bit of time completing the Crown Quest with the ship, getting the Mystic Key, checking out the chest, not finding anything, and we were almost discounting him. Then he finds he finds everything in the ice cave, and all of a sudden he storms past everybody to get to the Temple of Fiends Revisited, but he wipes to Chaos, and you sneak in the back door and finish it off. So what routing led you eventually to the Earth and to Ice Cave? Like, which one did you get to first?
Well, the bottle was in on-rack, so I did Sky right at... Well, I went to Ordeals, and then I went to Ice Cave. I had very little healing because I didn't have a white mage, so... And there were no heal potions for sale in Crescent Lake. I went into Ice Cave with like 13 heal potions, but I knew that wasn't going to get me through Volcano, so I figured that was my best bet. It still took me 2 tries to get through Ice Cave, but everything was in there, so yeah, once I was out of there, I went and finished off Volcano, then did Sky Shrine and Sea Shrine, and then it was either Earth or sorry, my dog's being a brat. It was either Earth or Marsh where the crown could be, so I just decided I had to clear Earth anyway, so we'll go there first. Did you guys see my Chaos fight by chance?
I did.
We peeked over, yeah.
Yeah. I was cheating on the stream by looking at your snazzy knight in his white, like, Sunday best. That's a good looking knight.
With the cape and everything. I like it.
That's a good look. It's definitely a good look. But he's the only one that was well dressed. Everybody else took a beating. That squirrel eventually knocked out your black mage, and then he sort of had to solo the rest of the fight. It was just kind of wild swinging, fingers crossed, and
yeah,
he came out on top.
I was clenching up. I had 100 hit points when he died.
So we've got Minochi, who was kind of written off as well. Minochi spent the better part of 25 minutes fishing out the ribbon and the adamant out of armory.
Yeah, they went everywhere before Earth. And he got stuck right off the bat, wiping repeatedly in the volcano, just trying to get the ribbon and the adamant out of the armory.
Oh wow!
So,
yeah, the Argoyles had Death Touch, I think.
And now he's just about there. It's not going super easily for him here. Drinking heal potions is where he's at in his strategy, but he's got a knight that's dishing out some pretty good hurt.
It looks like just about everyone's given up on black belts.
Well, that heal potion saved his knight's life, and he's got one more swing left in him here. So it's not going to do it. Oh, but he's got his evade ratcheted up, so attacks will be okay. He really needs to see Chaos go down. This is about as ridiculous as yours. How many times can he do 300 damage before Chaos dies? That's what he's asking. Oh, he's got him in a loop. He's got him in an RNG loop. Yeah. 7 hits for 306. What a lucky way to wrap that one up.
Wow. So good.
The rare music of the RNG loop. It is one of the rarest and most beautiful ways to win a Final Fantasy randomizer race. And if you see it happening to you because you're in dire straits and you're holding down A, or whatever you've mapped A to, and you notice that the same loop is happening, just tape your controller down, walk away, and come back a champion. That's my advice. And Minochi rides that to second place.
Yep, and then coming in right behind him, and about 30 seconds later, Salty Fry finishes his Chaos fight. The official SRL times on those from Minochi 2:20.46, Salty 2:21.14. We are going to try and get those guys in.
Question from chat. What's the RNG loop? So Final Fantasy uses a fairly naive way of generating random numbers. And under certain circumstances, if you hold down A during a battle, you can get it generating the same sequence of numbers over and over and over again. So over the course of a turn, exactly the same things will be forced to happen by virtue of you holding down A. And that means if you recognize that taking place, you can take advantage of it, because if that loop of things is the enemy missing you and you hitting them, inevitably you will win the fight.
Something I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, is something that our champion here, Quicklet, is all too familiar with. 2 damage per round. Someone mentioned that in chat. Getting the job done with 2 damage per round on Chaos. It was either you or Salty Fry. I can't remember.
That wasn't me. Yeah.
Must have been Salty Fry. That
I have literally never got RNG loop. I've tried many times. It's never happened.
That race was, I remember Trenton and Edge had the call, and it was a 3.5-hour long race. And I don't remember who came first and second, but I do know that the person that came second had Chaos in an RNG loop doing 2 damage at a time with 1 party member remaining. And just, tape down the button, walk away. At least I'm going to win after 3.5 hours. And that allowed the other runner to catch up and beat Chaos before the 2 damage per turn finished him off. But they finished so close together within about 15 seconds that they both got a 0.0. And I think to date it was the only tied race in this league.
I actually think it was the second, because I think Minochi actually has a tie 0-0 on his record as well. But it was like 2 or 3 or something like that.
All right, second tie. We'll see if Minochi or Salty are up for any chat this evening, but second place is not what he was going for, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's not of a mind to do so. Well, I'm getting it from all sides. According to Artea, we had a bunch of double zeros. And I improved wrong yet again. Joining us in chat is this evening's second place finisher by a hair, Minochi. How'd that go?
Hey guys, second again.
At least you got that sweet RNG loop to pull that Chaos fight out.
That was set up, but I just don't know what loop I'll get in though.
Can you walk us through a little bit about what you were able to manipulate there?
So after I saw the squirrel, right, I know one of my party will die, and I have 1 character left. I just hold A, and then hope the loops is a good loop. But I know I'll set up a loop. I just don't know what spells or if Chaos do melee or not. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. So you had some awful luck and some trouble early in Volcano. Did you feel like you even had a shot at winning or second place even after you finally got out of there with the ribbon and the adamant?
Nope. I wasted 40 minutes for an adamant and a ribbon. And I was level 8 when I left Volcano. I had no chance there.
And yet second place. It turned out that Bismarck, who is still finishing up, was able to start off by going to Ordeals, finding the ruby, and then he took the bait, so he ended up finding the crown in Earth very quickly before he even went to Ice. And although he was initially behind because he spent some time doing the whole crown quest, he just zoomed by everybody once he got to Ice and basically was in go mode at that point. But then he got to Topher at so low level that he wasn't able to beat Chaos, and after dragging himself all the way there, finally wiped on Chaos, and that let everybody else catch up. So you were closer than you think. And
he has been in there for 40 minutes now. He got in at the 145 mark.
And if you think your fight against Chaos was close, Quicklet was able to defeat him with only 1 party member remaining with 100 health as well. So everybody that got through here just barely scraped by.
Nice. Yeah, with Chaos, first cast with Q4, I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah, that
and then I saw
make you
me.
nervous.
That wasn't good.
So now we've got Maya on Tiamat 2. We have Bismarck on Kraken. I believe he was fighting some waters here just a moment ago. And then we've got one off-stream runner, Ali Gerbrap, who just beat Carry 2. So, relatively tight pack here heading towards the end. Hopefully everybody makes it through all right.
Yeah, Ali G doesn't get featured a lot because his stream tends to be sort of sparse from wherever he's streaming from. But he deserves a shout out for being always right behind the front runners in all of these races. Just relatively strong finishes in such a good pack for someone who doesn't get as much notoriety as perhaps he deserves. And Bismarck patiently, pedantically whittling away on Kraken. Unfortunately, the nuclear comes out. And he'll set down his red mage. And there goes the white mage.
Here we go again.
Looks like gonna have to one-on-one for the rest of the way. He's gonna think about it. Seems to have walked away from his game for a second here.
I think he's got to go outside, let out some of his frustration so he doesn't wake speedrunner Hudson.
Yeah, he's not too pleased about that. I mean, Maya's not looking to be much better off here. He's going to hope Chaos misses a few times and try to bundle his health back up. Is that all he's got, or has he got another... Well, just in time with that Cure 3. Now some power bonks.
You try and maybe take one last whack at him, hopefully. Oh, and he gets hit with a slow 2.
That's not good news.
He's got a ribbon on that character. Was that slow 2 through the ribbon?
Must have been.
Oh, and there's a miss. Oh.
Oh, no. Well, I'm not sure what the plan is here, but just keep amping up that power bonk until you can hit Chaos and hope to get him stuck in a loop. Oh, he did 100 damage there. There's a glimmer of hope. Well, there's a swirl. I don't know if that's what he wanted to see or not.
Oh no, and Bismarck is down, and Maya is down at the same time, and both have entered the dot forfeit.
Yeah.
Both of their runs have come to an end this evening.
So close. No more room left on the podium, and they're not interested in putting up a score they could put up. That Temple of Fiends was too painful. Bismarck flirted with first place, and will have to settle for nothing at all.
Oh, if he goes back and watches this or otherwise listens to this, you had the entrance. You had the entrance, but unfortunately you didn't have the levels or none of the sort, and so that didn't make it out for you. Well,
if it was an easy, soft paper Chaos, he would have probably taken it, but it was just too much.
Well, Nitz, I think that's gonna about do it for us here tonight. With Bismarck and Maya forfeiting out, there's nothing left going on the screen. So, yeah, any final thoughts?
Just that this was so incredible to see Bismarck come out of nowhere, find the crown, spend the time getting the key, turned out to be completely pointless, falls way behind, goes to ice, ends up in go mode, zooms by everybody, gets to Chaos with time to spare, can't get the job done, and then ends up repeatedly wiping and coming last. Like, that has just been a crazy drama to watch, and I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did. My heart goes out to Bismarck, but you gave it a ride.
Yeah, and so for Nits, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Huge thanks to Randomania for plugging our community on their primary channel tonight. Thanks to Nora for giving us a restream. Glad we endured through the storm and made it out on the other side. Thanks to our runners for being restreamed. And yeah, if you like everything that you saw, feel free to give Randomania and its auxiliary channels a follow. Feel free to give our runners a follow. Feel free to follow our Discord. Get involved if you feel like this is something that interests you. Feel free to get plugged into the Final Fantasy Randomizer community. The barrier of entry is low, I promise you. And so get plugged in, even if you're just going to be casual or otherwise. We certainly welcome the company. And so, with who we have in the channel, Mono, I will toss it over to you. Do you have any final thoughts? You still got a notch one.
I still need to get first once before I can do the final round. Hopefully there will be one tomorrow. And I just want to say thank you guys, Nits and Rosando for commentating, and Nostra for restreaming. Thanks guys, much appreciated.
So Quicklet, you're 2 on your defense now. You've got 2 wins on this. So you have successfully prevented Minochi from attaining that 0-0, whether intentional or not. That's what you've done. So GG to that. Do you have any final thought?
I'm pretty sure this is the last of my gatekeeping. I don't think I'll be able to run any more this stage, but I'm looking forward to if we have a playoff to watching that. And that'll be fun, and I'm looking forward to the tournament coming up.
I'm just going to jump in on behalf of Randomania. They've got a bunch of great content coming up as well. We've got the Dragon Warrior Bronze and Grand Finals coming up. Zelda 2, Max Rando, Super Mario Brothers 3 Rando tomorrow night. Lots to watch. Final Fantasy Randomizer or otherwise. Check it out. Their whole schedule is available. It's easy to find. Look up Randomania, Randomania 2, Randomania 3, Randomania 4. There's
Randomania the Ocho.
Lots of awesome content, so check that out.
So for Nits, I have been Swartzando. It has been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Have a good night, take care, and be excellent to each other.